I've been hearing House and Senate Republicans talking about, how they want to use stimulus money for one-time expenditures, such as roads or building projects or something along that like. But isn't that a misnomer? I think if you build a building, you're going to need to maintain it and staff it. If you build a road, you're going to need to continually maintain it. Don't those have ongoing expenditures that might require money that come up after the stimulus money ends?
Well, which is exactly what we're going to look at. We've talked in broad pictures about how we're going to spend money on roads, we're going to spend money on one-time projects. The devil is going to be in the details, and you're going to see a lot of attention paid to us at that level to figure out to make sure they are simply one-time expenditures. But if you figure, if you're going to repave a portion of I-70, that's a one-time expenditure in my mind. So if you're going to build a brand new building, we need to take into consideration the fact that there is going to be some ongoing investment to keep that building going. So I don't know if you're going to see a lot of brand new buildings popping up. I think you're going to see some refurbishing of some buildings, but not many brand new buildings popping up. So our job is to make sure this money is spent in accordance to the wishes of our colleagues here in the House, to make sure it's one-time funds. I tell people, if I gave you a big check right now, it'd be crazy for you to go out and put it all down in a brand new Corvette, because you have to make the payment the next month. You never know when you're going to get the money.
And to sort of turn that question on its head a little bit, if you're just refurbishing versus building a building, isn't building a building more stimulative than refurbishing a building?
It depends on how you're talking about the money. I mean, if I can spend, $5 refurbishing a building, but I got to spend $20 to renew the building, why don't I spend $5 refurbishing? I can spend $5 in 4 different areas. We're going to spend the same amount of money. So.
And it's the same skill set. I mean, if you're having, the carpenters come in or the electricians come in, I mean, it's still stimulating the same construction jobs, just spreading it out in a larger area.
In your caucus, do you think that part of this debate is really still a debate about whether this whole thing was really a good idea in the first place? The governor's portraying that, the Congress has passed, it's a done deal. He calls it rearview mirror stuff.
Well, I think
that's part of what's still
I think we're still hearing from folks at the grocery stores that telling us it was a terrible idea of Congress to pass this bill. And we recognize that. So the challenge is, what are we going to do with the pot of money that we're given? And here's what our caucus has decided to do. We're going to spend that money on 3 areas: tax relief, paying down some debt, and one-time infrastructure projects. And we think it was imprudent for the federal government to send us this pot of money. But if we're going to do it, we're going to return some of that money to the taxpayers. We think that's the best use of this money.
Understand whose money it is. This is the taxpayers' money. When people talk about federal stimulus and federal dollars coming in, guess what? It's still the guy on the street and the lady on the street that's paying the taxes that is funding this. And I think giving it back to them is the best way to stimulate growth.
And we heard this week the governor online saying our kids and grandchildren are going to have to pay this back. It's frustrating for us to see that. We don't think we should mortgage our future at this time. We think we can tighten our belts, find money to fund money and for job creation, put that money back to the taxpayer, put that money to good use. We think saddling our children and grandchildren with the future debt, we think is terrible public policy.
I filed a HCR a couple weeks ago, 24, which I called an Economic Declaration of Independence, and I had a huge outpouring from my district saying, way to go, that we need to send a message to Washington, quit wasting our money on pork projects and pet projects. We need to stimulate the economy, but we don't need to waste money in the process. I can tell you I got a huge outpouring from my district.
Was that resolution saying that the House doesn't like the stimulus package, or that they want to reject the money or something like that?
It's saying that we need to rescind the actions. I mean, that's my personal, the HCR said the federal government needs to rescind their actions and seek other alternatives.
Okay, this goes back to another issue about whether the House or the Senate has authority to reject money, because the governor, from what I've talked to him and talked to Senator Roop, is the decider on whether you accept a lot of this. So what can the House or the Senate do? I mean, the statutory change refusal is one thing, but can they do anything else to say we don't want to do certain things?
Our constitutional duties in the House is to appropriate money. And they can't spend money unless the legislature appropriates the money. And we're going to decide what to appropriate and how to appropriate it. And we're going to undertake our constitutional duties.
We got time for one more, guys, and then we got to.
You guys want our education guys are here. I've got